Hey everybody, welcome to Yarn Talk, where we talk about the latest knitting news, trends, and interview designers every 2 weeks.
I'm Allison, and today I have an interview with designer Teresa Gregorio.
And I'm Heidi, and I'll be talking about the crop top sweater trend, but how to rock it if you've got some curves.
But first up, I'm Leah, and we're going to talk about knitting in the news. Yarn bombing is a fairly recent phenomenon that started about 10 years ago, or so the stories say, with a group of women in Texas who started making this art that walked the line between craft and graffiti. The group called themselves Knit Up Please and adopted kind of faux hip-hop names to represent themselves as they worked on their street art. One of these women, Magda Sayeg, is still going strong and is no longer anonymous as she was with the group. She's considered to be the mother of yarn bombing and has worked all over the world. Her most famous piece is when she and her crew yarn bombed a huge bus in Mexico City. Another well-known artist that works with yarn in public spaces is Olek, who's a Polish-born artist who now lives in Brooklyn. She works a lot with very bright pink yarn and covers things completely with crocheted fabric. Her most famous piece was where she covered everything in an apartment, all the objects, all the furniture, and including the people, with crochet. Olek considers herself to be a fine artist and does not identify with the term yarn bombing. The best thing about yarn bombing is that it can really be whatever you want it to be. It can be conceptual art, it can just be decoration and everything in between. And there are hundreds of people out there, knitters and crocheters, armed with their needles and hooks, ready to make things more colorful. Are you one of them? Don't tell me, because it is technically still illegal.
This week, I can't wait to cast on Courtney Spainhower's Caldwell pullover from the new Knit Scene Fall. This sweater uses garter stitch and eyelets to create a beautiful classic pullover shape. Knit in the round from the top down, the eyelets are your faux raglan increases, which is just so clever. Unusual construction and garter stitch accents is a recipe for not only a can't wait to cast on, but a I can't wait to wear too. And knit up in size 9 needles, I'm guessing it's a pretty quick knit. Find it in the latest Knit Scene Fall magazine at knitscene.com.
Heidi here with a look at what's trending in the knitting design world right now. Here on Yarn Talk, we cannot seem to get enough of the crop length sweater. It's been in almost every one of our episodes. Episode 1 featured an interview with designer Sarah Hurwitz, and she talked about her Elevate pullover with Allyson. She talked about how to lengthen the cropped length for people who don't want to go anywhere near wearing a crop sweater. And she also talked with Allyson about how to style the crop length sweater with things like a maxi dress. Myself, in last week's episode, talked about the Greco top by Courtney Spainhower, which is also crop length. So even though I really want to be knitting some of these crop length sweaters, my figure is an hourglass. So that means that the difference in size between my bust measurement and my waist measurement is a full 10 inches. So if I'm wearing a looser crop top, it can cut me off in kind of a weird way and make me look a lot wider than I naturally am. So when I was researching crop tops for this segment, I kind of had a facepalm moment because as a lover of vintage clothes, I had completely forgotten about short length 40s inspired sweaters. So back in the 40s, you would see a lot of these sweaters with a pretty noticeable shoulder pad, a pretty noticeable waist, and then often a peplum as well. In 2014 and 2015, we're seeing designers put out this sort of silhouette, minus the shoulder pad and not always with the peplum, but almost always as a cardigan. We're seeing some pullovers, but mostly cardigans in this 40s inspired silhouette. So what's so great about these sweaters for summer, just like with wider crop length sweaters, is that you're wearing simply less square inches of yarn, so it's going to be cooler. And if you look for something with a shorter sleeve and a lace motif all over it, you're going to have a more breathable piece, especially if it's in a cotton or linen yarn. As a lady with an hourglass figure, closer fitting, shorter length sweaters are my kind of crop top. These are more flattering because they accentuate the narrowest part of my body, and they couple really nicely with a skirt or a smart pair of trousers for any season.
This week, I can't wait to cast on the Vanishing Rug by Teresa Gregorio. This is a perfect example of warm weather knitting. A breezy open front cropped cardigan with raglan shaping and lace panel fronts, making it a little more interesting to knit. I love the bright happy yellow color that Teresa chose for the sample, and I would probably make it in the same color. You can find this pattern in Knit Scene Spring 2015.
I interviewed designer Teresa Gregorio, who's not only my designer crush, but also my friend. She's had 6 patterns in my online magazine, Hollow Knits, as well as a ton of self-published patterns at CanaryKnits.com. She is also the second half of my co-host Leah's upcoming Great Northern collection, which is inspired by Twin Peaks. Enjoy! Welcome! I have for my designer crush today my friend Teresa Gregorio of Canary Knits, and she just designed a great pattern called Beach House for the latest Hollow Knits, my online magazine. It is a gorgeous mesh cropped top, and it is one of the most popular patterns from that collection. Teresa, why do you think people like it so much?
I'm all behind the crop tops. It's like the thing to wear this summer, so I suspect the on-trendness of it is really working in its favor.
For people who are maybe not as enthusiastic as the rest of us about this crop top craze right now, how would you best style your beach house?
Something I think a lot of people overlook when they're not keen on crop tops is the fact that it's really awesome for layering. So I've worn the beach house sample that I have with full dresses. You know, it's just an extra layer, which is quite useful in the summer sometimes.
I love that idea. Just throwing it over any dress, really, because it's going to add a little bit more even waist definition, which is something that people don't like about crop tops. There's no waist definition. If you just throw it over a dress with waist definition, then voila.
Precisely. Yeah, so it's not like you have to erase your waist. It's not like you have to show skin if you don't want to. Because it's mesh, you can also see a bit of you underneath it too, so it doesn't erase any of your shape, really.
Yeah, I love that about it. And too, if you have a colorful dress, it's great because you can see the dress underneath it. So it's just like it's like a mirror almost for more of whatever you wear underneath it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, great. Hopefully everyone can get on board with this crop top, at least to try it. And what's great about your beach house is it's such a quick knit.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. It takes very little yarn. It's a very fast knit. Everyone needs a beach house.
Everyone needs a beach house for sure. So what are the other things that you're working on right now? Do you have anything exciting in the works?
I always have a bunch. I have plans of a crop top, actually, slightly different from beach house, something a little bit more fitted. I took some photos of it because I was wearing it at TNNA at the end of May this year. And I asked on Instagram, do you think I should turn this into a pattern? And the answers were pretty positive. So it's going to happen. So that's one thing I'm working on at the moment.
Oh, so fun. I love when the answer on Instagram is something that you are excited, like people are excited about it. It always sucks when you're like, do you love this? And like you get like 4 likes. Yeah. And you're like, okay, I guess not. But in this case, it worked for you.
Good testing pool. Yeah.
Yes, it always is. Well, Teresa, thank you so much for joining us today at YarnTalk, and we'll catch you later.
Great to talk to you. Thanks.
We couldn't have a designer interview segment without having an animal interview photo bomb. At the end of our interview, Teresa's bird joined us, so I had to include it in the segment. A huge thank you to Teresa for joining us this week.
The Canyon tank was released as part of a 6-piece collection by Mel Ski called 6 Bits Wander. Knit in a 100% linen yarn, Quince & Co.'s Kestrel, this oh-so-summery tank drapes nicely around the body for a lightweight, highly breathable summer top. The thin accent stripe just below the bust stands out nicely against the contrasting color used for the upper front of the tank and is a perfect touch of color work. With a few extra inches, this top would work beautifully as a swimsuit cover-up, and the linen yarn would be right at home on the beach.
Thank you so much for watching Yarn Talk.
Don't forget to use hashtag YarnTalk or the comment section to get in touch with any questions. Give us a like if you liked this episode, and don't forget to subscribe for even more.
Also new this week, we started a Pinterest board, so follow the link below to see all of the links that we used in all of our episodes.
We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah, huh, drugs.